Hello and welcome to another edition of Mr. Basile Explains Shakespeare. Today we're going over the First Kiss sonnet, which is in Act 1, Scene 5, lines 104 to, well, it's a sonnet, so you can do the math. It's not that difficult. But 117, in case you double check in your math, and that's the answer. All right, so what I'd like to do today is I'm going to go over the lines. I'm going to talk about them. And then we're going to take a look at two different film versions of those lines and renditions of them. We'll look at the 68 classic Zeffirelli film and the modern, not quite so instant classic 2013 version. However, this is one of the better scenes, so that's why I've decided to incorporate it. So let's take a look. Romeo begins by speaking to Juliet. If I profane with my unworthiest hand this holy shrine, the gentle sin is this. My lips, two blushing pilgrims, ready stand to smooth that rough touch with a tender kiss. What's so beautiful about the lines? Well, one, it's written in iambic pentameter. Two, it's the beginning of a sonnet, which, as you know, a Shakespearean sonnet, rhyme scheme, A, B, C, D, E, F, and a rhyming couplet of G, G at the end. But I'd like to call particular attention to if I profane with my unworthiest hand the holy shrine, and then again the gentle sin. So you notice there's a very clear religious motif that's being extended from earlier in the play. And if we look at this, he says, I profane, so he's doing something he shouldn't be doing with his hand that it shouldn't even be allowed to do even that. And the holy shrine that he touches is her hand. And he says the gentle sin is this. So he doesn't mean ill by sinning, but he's sinned nonetheless. And he says, my lips, two blushing pilgrims ready stand to smooth that rough touch with a tender kiss. Pilgrims are people who go on a pilgrimage, usually to a holy site, either to visit a saint or to visit the Holy Land, to see relics or items or figurines of the saint or, the shrouds or what have you, finger bones even, it doesn't matter. Just know that they're holy journeys, basically. And he says that he's going to smooth over his sin with his lips. So he'll kiss and wipe away the sin with the lips of his, the sins of his hands with his lips. Then those are the pilgrims, if you will. And Juliet, she knows how to play this game too, very clearly. She says, good pilgrim, you do wrong your hand too much, which mannerly devotion shows in this. For saints have hands that pilgrims' hands do touch, and palm to palm is holy palmer's kiss. So if you look at it, she's saying, hey, listen, you're doing wrong by your hand, and mannerly devotion shows in this. So mannerly devotion, if you're using the Folgers edition, we even get a devotion in touching mind. So you're showing devotion to me and me as a shrine, if you will, or even a saint, that would make sense as physically she would be the saint at the shrine, but even so, she says, you're doing your hand too much wrong because you've already shown mannerly devotion. You've shown your devotion as a pilgrim by touching my hand. And she goes on to continue that saints have hands that pilgrims' hands do touch, and palm to palm is holy palmer's kiss. And a palmer is, it's a reference to Palm Sunday and the practice of palms around Easter time. So it's almost like something you would bring back from the Holy Land if you had visited it during that time period. So as we look at this, it goes on to say, and palm to palm is holy palmer's kiss. And so, the touching hand to hand, which looks an awful lot like praying, right? Two hands pressed together. She says, that's how they kiss. So it's really not a big deal, and you don't need to kiss my hand. And so Romeo, going along with his game, says, have not saints lips and holy palmers too? And Juliet replies with, yes, I, pilgrim, lips that they must use in prayer. Which is pretty good because by saying that he needs to use, he's like, hey, he's setting this whole thing up with prayer and lips and kissing, and she's like, oh yeah, they have lips, but you use them to pray. Then Romeo goes on to say, oh then, dear saint, let lips do what hands do. They pray. grant thou, lest faith turn to despair. So he wants her to grant him permission to pray with his lips, which of course would mean a first kiss. And then Juliet says, saints do not move, though grant for prayer's sake. Like, I'm not making the first move. You have to kiss me. I'm the girl. And that saints do not move, though grant for prayer's sake is the line that begins the final rhyming couplet. And then Romeo comes in with, then move not while my prayer's effect I take. So, don't move. I'll make the first move. And then I included this last line here, which is not part of the sonnet. Thus from my lips, by yours, my sin is purged. I included that line here so you could get a sense of, where things go from there. Plus, they include it in one of the versions. So let's take a look at this. I'll try not to talk too much during it, and we'll see this. You can follow along. I'll leave it small here so that you can follow along with the text. The song you're hearing is really the theme song throughout the whole film in this version of it.
If I profane with my unworthiest hand this holy shrine, the gentle sin is this: my lips, two blushing pilgrims ready stand to smooth the rough touch with a gentle kiss.
Good pilgrim, you do wrong your hand too much. Which mannerly devotion shows in this? For saints have hands that pilgrims' hands do touch, and palm to palm this holy palms kiss.
Have not saints lips, and holy palms too?
Aye, pilgrim, lips that they must use in prayer.
Oh then, dear saint, let lips do what hands do. They pray, grant thou, lest faith turn to despair.
Saints do not move, though grant for prayer's sake.
Then move not. While my prayer's effect I take. Thus, from my lips, by thine, my sin is purged.
Okay, it's hard not to like that scene right there. You can tell how they do it, and they play around with these images with the hands touching each other and palm to palm. So let's take a look at the newer version, and we'll watch along. And I'll try to cover up the microphone so you don't get too much echoing noise on this, but that should allow you to follow along. I'll leave the text up as well. And I'll try not to speak too much.
If I profane with my unworthiest hand this holy shrine, my lips, two blushing pilgrims ready stand to smooth that rough touch with a tender kiss.
Good pilgrim,
You do wrong your hand too much. Which mannerly devotion shows in this? For saints have hands and pilgrims' hands do touch. Palm to palm is holy palmer's kiss.
Have saints on lips and holy palms too?
Aye, pilgrim. Lips that they must use in prayer.
Oh then, dear saint, let lips do what hands do. They pray. Grant now, lest faith turn to despair.
Our saints do not move, thou can't for prayer's sake.
Then move not. On my prayers effect I take.
Okay. So it's hard almost in some ways not to like both versions. They're both very pretty. Here, we'll get rid of the sucking face picture for you. It's hard really not to like both of them. Even though the original, or the older film, does incorporate this final line before the kiss, and the other one incorporates the kiss, incorporates the kiss after this line, and the new one leaves this line out prior to the kiss. I think you can see that it's pretty good. The new one, if you notice, gets rid of this line right here. The gentle sin is this, which you might say is a minor thing, but I'm going to say detracts from the overall sense of the religious motif and takes away the whole idea that Romeo is trespassing here. I mean, yes, it's a willful trespass. It's a trespass willed on by both parties, yet it kind of detracts from the whole forbidden love undercurrent that's, I mean, yes, I guess it's not really an undercurrent, but it does detract a little bit from that. And they don't even know that they're a forbidden love yet either, so that kind of takes away from that, which is a bit disappointing, but hopefully after looking through this and going over it with me here, you feel, 100% comfortable with this little sonnet tucked away into Act 1, Scene 5, their first real meeting and their first kiss. All right. I hope you've enjoyed another edition of Mr. Basile Explains Shakespeare. Have a wonderful day.